Chi Creation, The Tree of Life, Part 11. And so this one's blue, and we saw one which was green, but it's got more definition, I think. You can see more background and stuff. It's like purple in cloudy kind of colours and such. So this one's showing more of that visible light compared to the imperceivable light. But then it's relating it, it's telling you it's the same thing. So when we can see that, when we look into the night sky, this is what you'd be able to see in the spirit realm. Oh, one of the examples of it. And so, as we can see, there's the mouth, the lightning, all that kind of stuff. You've got these lines, but you've also got these lines. They like go against that grain. And so in terms of I don't know, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Well, but we have these two patterns, it's gonna like have they overlap each other in that kind of sense. You see it all up there. Let's get all the light in there, and like when it splits. And so, again, you got this texture. You see these lines? So you got lines going around like the black hole, and then you got the lines going towards it as well. So then you got this. You see, like for that aspect of like the creation of the realm, for it to exist in that spiritual realm, it's like that, like how scientists have like spoke about like that space-time aspect, the warping of space and all that kind of thing. It's like part of a light splitting for that creation aspect. So like when we see at the edge, it's whether the spiritual realm, it bends and then the light splits. And as the light splits, then that's the material realm. So it's like the same explanation for this. So why it bends the spiritual fabric in that kind of sense. So things can flow around or through or in that kind of way. And same for the whichever's in and out in that kind of sense. But it's also created a flat plane in a way. You see how those lines make it look like water? I mean, the white lines do as well, but they also look like lightning, and in that sense. So we're seeing these patterns, and see it turns into lightning again. But like it's got a lot of squares in that sense. And you can see it's more like roots up there, there's those like square kind of patterns as well. You got the mouth. Oh, the light going around that portal. So again, all about texture. You see, again, like with bending of space time and all this kind of thing. The thing with like scientists and stuff, they've not looked at it in this spiritual aspect. They've not taken that kind of like way of looking at it, and so a lot of this is they don't understand it in the same way, or they've not looked at it in the same way. There's all the black holes at the edge, bubbles of consciousness. But, so, like the breaking down of wood, like Anwang's work, you get those patterns, aren't you? And so, why that happens to wood, why it breaks down that way. So, like, we kind of compare it in that sense. We used this picture yesterday on other one, but you can see how it splits here. It's kind of creating all these squares. This picture yesterday as well, but so you can see these lines here that become part of this. There's also like all the pareidolia like that comes with it as well. And so it's like, it's like the life, it's abundant and everywhere and such. You see, it's like more like surface of water, also roots, that kind of thing. But also because of all the dots, then again, like all that pareidolia, it's kind of difficult to see. It kind of hides itself within it in that sense. But it's like when it gets bigger, it becomes more obvious in a sense. And that's like them grass, inside the grass, and we could see the cells, and it's got the same expression in that way. So to try and like have that experience of like going through the tree and like to see it for ourselves in that way, like it's dark, isn't it? So it's kind of difficult in that sense. But even with cross section, because you can see all those patterns, so again, why it relates in that way. So like that that substance, and then comparing it to like the previous, the substance of this. Substance. What it represents in that kind of sense, because it's the same thing. So this one is more like a 3D version, isn't it? We spoke about that before, like, the tunnel in that sense. So this is what it's like in that way. It's given a bit of perspective towards it. Oops. It's doing it on its own. It won't let me, that's why. I'll go to the next picture. Yeah. So, like this view, we see it like this, and then it's more like remembering that space between dreams, like between lifetimes. And so we can can you remember, in a sense? It's like this area, it's like all this sea of energy, and then there's these locations, these black holes in that kind of sense, that are caught within this sea of energy, of which you'd go into one, which is like going through the tree in that sense. So like how we see space is filled with all these waves, the waves of energy. So again, it shouldn't be space, it should be the heavens. So you get your teardrop, you get your ball within it, your sphere, your peacock feather. All the energy flows round. It's a bit more of a textured version. But it's like there's all these locations, and it's all this field of energy in that kind of sense. That's what's creating all these lines, because it's all in waves like that kind of thing. But it's going to let you travel along those pathways, whether it's the gap or the wood area. So you get your flat plane, you get your gyroscopics, you get your cross. You see like the tunnel of what it is, like the sun, the black in the centre. And again, how it flows around it, and then it leaves this trail. Like you see those patterns in water as well. It's all this. I don't know, it seems quite familiar in a way. So, again, like the peacock feather, it's all the energy coming through. So it's like all the sunlight that they say on for the heliocentric model, it's supposed to be sunlight. But if we consider that like at the bottom of a tree is where the sun comes from, which is it's the source of light for all realms in that kind of way. In each portal, the light would go into and go into that realm that way. I'll turn this one. Where am I? Am I here? So again, you're seeing this like Buddha aspect towards it. Again, the flower as well in that kind of sense. I think about orientation as well, because it's like the flat plane might be that direction, because if your peacock feather goes that way, and then that's where the line would be for your horizon. So again, this is still kind of debatable, because we get the the earthly version and then the spiritual version. I did it wrong way around. Earthly version and then spiritual version. So it depends which way in that kind of sense and stuff. But at least there's like logic behind the confusion. Excuse me. So there's the different vibrancy of colours as well. You get a lot of wood types and stuff. Some of them are a bit dark and stuff, like barely any light in that kind of sense. And so different aspects of like the location, or the colour of the wood as well. It doesn't have to be just the darkness and stuff. It could be like more red or more a greenish hue to it, or like this. It's so like that place of like dreams in that kind of way. And so in that dream world being connected to the spirit world. So like, this is all the antimatter, which is substance, it's spiritual substance. It's what everything's in. It's where everything's stationary, everything's held in place. There's some really good examples for that as well. See like that? So like the water goes round it. So you've also got sort of like I don't know. I kind of feel like this kind of like it does debunk the like rising Earth kind of idea. It's kind of like because you'd have everything moving, like the entire tree would be moving up. Then you look at the macro aspect, and if that tree is on a flat plane, which is in another bubble of consciousness, which is a super macro of our universe, then that would have to be rising up as well. And then if that were also in a bubble, that would also have to be rising, and so on and so on and so on. You also got like pareidolia. That's another wood texture as well, so you get different other waves kind of appear and stuff. It's got more of a silky look to it and stuff. It looks like a chihuahua, and then it looks like a person as well. But it explains like the astral planes, because a lot of it looks like this. It's kind of like like the haziness of colours and stuff like. There are all sorts of different colours. I kind of think most of this is like supposed to be representing more of a golden colour. So like the eye migraine, it's like a mixture of colours. It's like rainbow colours, but when they're all together, it looks gold. And so I've shown you pictures before of like gold stuff and how it kind of captures all colours and stuff. This is somebody's flaw. So an example of like the bigger picture. And so you've got all these different portals, pathways to the different flowers. And so that's how you travel in that kind of way. Oh, and your Pac-Man. And so it splits. So that's like your peacock feather. So it comes around like that. It's got a little bit there. It's got around and stuff like. But you see, like the wave, it aligns with the sun. So if the sun sets, it can shine the light through the tunnel of a wave. So in that sense, it's like it's getting that matchup, that spiritual matchup. So in the same sense, like the light coming from the center of a tree, or base of a tree, it's almost like that. It's going to give you that same suggestion. So again, you've got your horizon, and that's where the wave is, in that sense and stuff. Like a fisheye lens, and you've got it same again. So you fisheye lens. So it looks straight if you consider it to be fisheye. You know what I mean? You can see where it kind of sits in that way, but that's in terms of perspective and all that kind of stuff. So it seems to capture them all. Oh, that's quite straight. That's like got that arc, and that one's got the smiling arc. And it looks like that's like also like a waving background. So like that bit's turning over. So like it's got that in that kind of sense. So again, like the flowers, our flowers had the Pac-Man kind of aspect to it. Our peacock feather. It's also like size and location, all that kind of thing. When you consider moons and all these kind of things and stuff like what they are, all wandering stars as well, in that kind of sense. And is one of them just a star, or is it just another a star with a realm, or is it a star with an entire universe? Or are they all entire universes? So the sap comes out and all the yellow, and it makes it golden in that way. But it's physical, so it's like a representation of the colour. It's difficult for it to kind of show it in that kind of sense and stuff like that. I think it does a good job. I think this is these are the right colours to show it in, amongst all the other varieties. It won't turn. But we see how the water goes through it in that sense. And we also the tunnel, so that oval shape, which were on that fish, and like the windows to spirit, each window is like that projection. So when the ocean wave creates that shape, and the sunlight comes through it, and it's doing the same thing. Which is why that windows to spirit is important. That looks drawn. Sometimes there's a lot of AI stuff nowadays, and it kind of makes it difficult. I can't tell. It looks AI, but you get your sun in the centre there. So all those perspective lines. I see, like you got that ball, and then the light coming off it, and then you got this ring. This ring has got the light coming off it again. It's like the next ring and the next ring. It gets less, but you can see it that way. So from outside, the dome might look like it's all on fire. And so when you look at the sun, it might look like just a ball of fire in that sense. But once you get in the center, you get to see everything else, like the realm itself and, like where we are now, Also fabric in that kind of sense. Oh, it moves around. I don't know, in that sense of like familiarity. We've seen the wood before, and we've gone over the wood before quite a few times and stuff. But kind of seeing it in that way, or trying to remember the experience of it, like before we came here, or again between dreams and such. So the light bends is like a part of the entry. You got it there as well. So maybe exit entry, I don't know. Is it related to this, or is it just another gateway to somewhere else? But the expansion and contraction, so the waves of energy that come from it and stuff. one shows that C shape. Yeah, so for how the energy moves, you can see it like because it's broken away, and you can see how it flows in that way. More of a like 3D example. Which we'll look at the 2D ones in a 3D essence anyway. But like that, it gives it that more texture, more flow. You see, like the wood, it copies the ocean, but the ocean's copying the heavens. So we're seeing the same thing. So it's golden. You imagine it moving fast. It's like a time lapse. So you pick up feathers. Do it that way. You like the detail. You see it that way. So you can see the chi. Like the streams of it. So it's like lightning there. So does that look familiar in that spiritual sense? It's more vibrant in that way. Which I think that's another good example. You can see this is a thing as well. It reminds me of solar system, but seen in a completely different way. You see how this one works? How that's kind of different? And see, often it'll flow in different, how it needs to flow. So it's not random, it's like fixed in position. Everything is. And so like when the tree grows, its branch grows out, that's in that position. It leads to all those flowers at the end of it. And so in the same sense, you got all the golden energy which sweeps through. Some of it's more dense, so it's darker or whatever it is in that way. Like the ocean waves. How it compares in that way. And it's like, again, this is like we can't perceive it. We don't have that spiritual sight to see it. If you astral project, then that's different. If you're going between dreams, that's also different because you're in spirit in that way. And when you're using your physical eyes and you're trying to see it in that material way, it's not showing you it because it won't know. I see like the light. I see you got your flat plane. There's all the sunlight there. The lightning coming down. I don't know. It depends where your line is. if that's your, that should be your peacock line, your horizon for that, and that's your, what's it called? Your gyroscopics. But I think I'm running out of time, so I'm going to leave it at that. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Nice one. Cheers.